What's up, YouTube? Today's the day that I start doing the brake conversion on the car. I put it off for long enough now, and I just decided that's it. The car's going on jack stands, and I'm going to pull everything apart and do it now. So where I'm going to start is jack up the front of the car. I've got to get the front hubs off because I am going to drill them back out and convert them. So I don't have a drill press. I'm gonna take it into work and hopefully drill out the holes there. I can reinstall the studs here, it's not a big deal, but I definitely need to get the hubs off first and get them done. So that's where I'm gonna start. See, I'll get it lifted up on stands and then start going about ripping parts off of it. See, I guess it comes to a point of kind of dedication, you know. These wheels come off and they can't go back on after I'm done, so they're coming off. So yeah, it should be a pretty quick and simple procedure. Caliper and bracket, get the pads, rotor off. The hose we're going to let go off the caliper, going to let the system start draining out. But do you guys remember where you put those bolts? Because I don't remember. But we'll find something to put those back in. And should just be knock this dust cap off, take the spindle nut off, and then be able to slide the hub off. And the same on the other side, but I'm just gonna do this one side on camera. Lots of dust in my garage right now from sanding and whatnot. Mind you, I don't have any sand on any of the paint that I've sprayed. So there's the caliper pads and rotor awfully quick. Fucking losing stuff already. Nice and clean inside. Just get this cotter pin out of here. I think I just want to slide right off. You can see we got lots of material to install the 4 lugs. So yeah, it's just that simple. I think this video may continue with drilling this guy out and preparing it for the 5 lug. Okay, so I'm back at home base and got the hubs all drilled, like you saw. But we got this kind of material to deal with to actually get this hole to go through. This one, I just, didn't make a pass through with the drill. You can see, like, some of the holes did come right through. Even this hole, the stud is going to be really close, though. If you get a good look, like the flange of the stud, this one's going to be okay. But, I mean, this whole chunk of metal literally has to come out of there, and it has to be planed flat so that the stud, the shoulder, or that flange piece will actually sit down flat and flush and give it the most integrity to the rest of the hub flange. So a lot of people are seeing this and they're going, whoa, you can't do that. Watch me. Should be good. So you can see the physical difference between the size of the rotors. The fronts are quite a bit larger. Not a whole lot deeper, but the problem here is the backing plate. The backing plate is just going to be constantly rubbed by the rotor. I don't even think the rotor will go all the way on. It's pretty much rubbed right up almost against the edge here, and it seems like it's actually just touching the backside a little bit. But I'm gonna just try and snip it and then maybe pound in what's left and give it a quick spray, and I'll leave it like that. The rotor should mount no problem. So all I'm trying to do here is check fitment as I go along. I don't want to get the whole thing together and then discover a problem. So I've got 3 lug nuts bolted on there right now. The hub's reasonably tight. I cranked it up by hand as hard as I could, so it's not torqued, and I'm just checking the run out of the rotor to see if it's waving in and out or not. and it looks perfectly straight. So I'm going to say that's fully mounted right now. And what I want to try and do is just do a quick mock-up of everything. So I'm going to stick on the caliper, no pads, and then I'm going to grab a rim, and I'm going to install a rim and make sure I've got clearance. I want to see what the rim looks like without a wheel spacer on. Just make sure the rim actually goes onto this hub. Took the original hardware that I had and put it on a bench grind, like the wire wheel on the bench grinder, clean them up real nice. So let's see how this guy mounts up. And we clear, but I don't know how the camera can see how close it is. But I mean, that the rim's almost touching the coilover. There's a tire on there, and we're touching, no doubt. Looks like the wheel spacers that I have coming will be required. 5-look conversion all done? No. But the rim rolls nice and straight. Don't even have it torqued yet, so I'm sure everything's going to be good. I've got caliper clearance here, but regardless, doesn't matter. There's no way a tire's going to fit that. Got a new cotter pin to install. I just bought a kit of these. Cost $10 for an entire set, like an entire box of them. I'll just wrap these around like that. Lots of different ways to do cotter pins. But when I have an open end spindle like this is the way I like to do them. And then I'll actually try and pinch the ears in on the end of the spindle a little bit. So it's got a lot of material to rub up against. You don't really want to drive in on the center of it because you can start denting it in. So just kind of go along the edge with the chisel again. We want to make sure it's on there because it keeps water out. So now we're ready for the rotor. When I looked at this, it looks like it's for the right hand side, but it's stamped for the left side, and the box it came out of was indicated for the left side, so it's going on the left side. The venting vanes on the inside are straight, so they're not scooped forward or rearward, and so really it could go on either side, but they say this side, it's going on this side. So now that I've got the wheel spacer painted black, because black's what I actually ordered but didn't receive black, I'll put that on next. The studs protrude quite a bit, and on some wheels you would have to do a cut on these. Fortunately, the rotors will allow, they have a very large gap in here, so the studs will mount and not interfere, no problem. So now I'll move forward and mount the caliper on. This is all been clear coated. But we do need to install pads, so we'll just take out this little retaining clip that holds the sliding pins. Take them out. I'm gonna put a little slick of anti-seize, just a tiny little bit on the threads, but more so up on the shoulder, so it doesn't seize on the shoulder at all. Probably get too much on this one, but so you never need too much. Anti-seize goes so far. So just go and place the caliper right over the rotor. Try and line up the original bolt. Take the pads that I have, just put a thin glaze of brake lube right on the edge there, much like the STI brake video, if you've seen that. Both are 4-pot calipers in the same design. Do the same on these pins. And then as you're sliding the pin through, just make sure that it goes through both brake pads and out the other hole. This doesn't have the little push retaining clips that go on the end of the pins. It's got one center pin. It's got this little kind of hooky deal on the end, on the middle of it, and it goes in this little hole right in the caliper, and then you just take the ends of it and turn the pins to where you need them so that the clip will go into place at both ends. And once it's like that, it's installed. Everything moves nice and freely. So next I can put on this braided line. The sealing point is directly on the inside of the line. You can see that's got a flange, and there's another tapered flange on the inside fitting of the caliper. So there's no real washer, no crush washer. The sealing point is just like putting it on an actual steel line. So you got to take care of threading these right in to the aluminum caliper. You don't want to cross thread and have a problem doing it. It's a nice slow movement, keeping nice control, and eventually once it starts to thread in, it's pretty easy to just loop around and around. You'll feel it gets snug at that point. You can just kind of put it in this little holder if it'll stay there. These ones are 14 millimeter. And that's it. All that's really left on this corner would be routing through the new piece of line out the hole here and down to this bracket, and hooking up that braided line to this nickel copper line that I'm going to use. And of course bleed the brakes and then mount the wheel. Really converting the 4 bolt hubs to 5 bolt is definitely not something I would recommend doing. Probably shouldn't have done it myself, but I knew it was something that I was going to be able to do and it was going to work. It's just how reliable and how long term is it. So I mean, for me to save the money now so that I can buy other parts, it made sense. But I think in the future I am going to have to buy them. Either that, or maybe just if they end up working out for a long time, I'll just end up getting 2 front bearings and popping them off and pressing in a new set of bearings for a really good price. The benefit being now that these brakes come apart pretty easy, and those front hubs just slide right off. So the front will be accessible another time and not take a lot of time for me to do. So I spend a lot of time doing this stuff, and any amount of time I try and save time, but more so I need to save money. So remember to check back for the continuation of this, because I'll be moving on to the rear next and show you what kind of success or fail I have there. And eventually the third video I'll end up getting into the hydraulics and doing some flares and routing some line through the car, because it's all being replaced. So yeah, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and leave your questions and comments further down below. I'll see you in the next one.